For Crema Media's Polity, I'm Sane Dlamini, founder of Lady Liberty, and attorney Samantha Ngcolomba joins me to discuss what her organization is doing to help South Africa's most vulnerable women to access free legal aid. Welcome, Samantha.
Thank you.
Lady Liberty assists vulnerable women who are trapped in domestic violence and previously disadvantaged communities who can't afford to pay legal aid. We know legal aid is very expensive. So what sparked you, the interest from you to do this work for free?
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for the opportunity. I suppose it's many different reasons put together. So first of all, I'm an attorney by profession, and so I went through the whole journey, getting admitted, practicing, going to court. But while going through that whole journey, I realized that there's a huge gap between people who can actually afford legal services and those who can't. And really poor and vulnerable people, especially women, just kept falling through the gaps. So I just sort of felt inclined to do something about it. But also I had the opportunity to work in the non-profit space, and I did a human trafficking project. And there's a story that touched me and has always sort of haunted me a little bit. There's a woman who was abused by her partner, and after he sort of assaulted her physically, he put her in a dustbin and he set it alight. So I remember I sometimes actually wonder if she lived, where is she, what happened to her. Then I just felt that the law was something that I had in my pocket, so it's the easiest tool for me to use to actually make a difference for those women.
Yes, and you currently help 3 communities. Can you tell us which communities?
Yeah, it's actually been more than 3 communities. So what happened is I run a business called CSI Boutique, and we focus on corporate social investment. So what we do is we go to companies and we say, we know you're obliged to put in a percentage of your profits annually, but instead of sort of doing it begrudgingly or because the law says so, we help them come up with strategies for it. We help them around the compliance issues, and then we come up with projects for them as well. So Lady Liberty was launched as one of our business flagship projects. Yeah, so it's one of our projects to make a difference in the community. So we just happened to decide to do it within the legal space. So the communities that I've worked in so far include Deep Sloot, Alexandra, Lenasia, Westbury, right? So that's in Gauteng. But I was also privileged enough to work with Soul City. They have a project called Rise Young Women's Clubs. So what they do is they focus on the health issues around women between the ages of 16 and 25. But they realize that within those issues where they're talking to them about dating, sex, puberty, all of that sort of growing up challenges and things that they're going to have to deal with within those age groups, there was a gap. Again, they had legal queries, but then the project didn't cater for those. So Lady Liberty sort of plugged into that. And while working with Soul City, we managed to go to Free State, Mpumalanga, the Eastern Cape, as well as Pretoria.
Okay, and tell us about the challenges that you faced while helping these women.
Yeah, I think for me the greatest challenge was realizing that there's a lot of emotional and mental anguish and trauma. I just went in there thinking, provide them with legal answers because I'm an attorney. So we're like, yeah, the law says this, the law says that, thanks for coming. But it was a totally different situation when I got there. Sometimes you get there and a woman is still traumatized by the incident that's happened. Sometimes you see the physical scars. Like I saw the one lady who had like a scar. Her father had hit her with an axe on her face. So that I was never prepared for. So I had to work out the emotional sort of side of the project and then just focus and separate my emotions from the legal aspects of it. So that was the biggest challenge. But the current challenge at the moment is also resource. It's only recently that I'll tell you about it later, I managed to get other lawyers on board. But at first I was alone. So that was a challenge as well. Time-wise, energy-wise, emotionally and mentally draining, and traveling to communities by yourself in your little car. Sometimes you haven't even visited them before. So yeah, it's been a number of challenges, but I'm slowly finding ways around them.
And you alone, you've helped around 150 women.
It's actually been about 650, yeah. So those stats were when I had first begun. So sometimes, depending on the area that we go to, we have a group averaging anything from 20 women to 100 women. So far to date, it's been about 600 women. But unfortunately, it's been 600 in the sense that we've provided them with legal information and guide them with their cases. But because of resources, I haven't been able to actually take on cases and solve them in the courts.
And you've also reaped the rewards. I've read that you have received a donation from a US company.
Right.
And now you are also nominated by the UN Women. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, you know, something like this requires a lot of support, and I've been privileged to come across lots of organizations and people and individuals that have slowly started realizing that projects of this nature have lots of things that they can plug in. So sometimes the assistance is financial, sometimes it's to help us with our marketing, sometimes it's to help us with printing and that sort of thing. So Pollination Project that you've mentioned have been absolutely amazing. They provide what they call social entrepreneurs, people who run businesses but with a social cause. So they provide them with funding. So I was one of those projects that was selected. We received funding from them. But I'm also affiliated with Spark. They also do the same thing, and they provide other support such as website support, PR, and that sort of thing. So UN Women was sort of the most exciting one for us to date. They've come together with MasterCard and a couple of other stakeholders, and they've come up with a project that they call Project Inspire. So what they do is they nominate about 20 semi-finalist projects from like globally. Some were from Australia, Tanzania, and in South Africa, I think there was 2 of us. So what then happens there, if we're selected, I suppose, as finalists, then we get to go to Singapore to the UN Women Committee in Singapore to pitch for additional funding. So lots of doors are slowly opening. Some come with financial assistance, some come with expertise and different type of resources. But yeah.
So what can we do to help you?
So what you can do to help me, I'm glad you asked that question. So what's happening currently, right, is that the UN Women Project has selected their 9 finalists, and unfortunately we weren't part of those. People are doing amazing things globally, but now there's space for one more project. And the way that that one project can, I suppose, be part of the final finalists that get to travel to Singapore next month is that we need to win the People's Choice Award. And what that means is that we need to have the greatest number of supporters that actually contribute towards the crowdfunding campaign. So the amount isn't really pertinent, but what they need to see is that we have the most number of people actually supporting the project. Then we win that sort of People's Choice Award, and we go to Singapore and we join the other 9. And that would be very exciting for us, because then that places us again at like an equal platform to then compete with the other projects and hopefully get the grand prize, which is $25,000 and the second prize is $10,000. But even without the cash, like I mentioned, sometimes you go and, sitting alone at the United Nations Women's Committee in Singapore, that alone can open so many doors, connections, new networks, new ideas even, because I'm also open to growing the project and making sure that it's actually sustainable. So us getting to Singapore is not only about the money. So I need your help in getting the word out and having as many people as possible contribute towards the crowdfunding campaign. So far the number to beat is, I think, one of the projects has 100 people already, and we're still like slightly less than 20. But I mean, there's 10 days to go, and all we need on average is about 10 people around South Africa just contributing. I think it's possible.
Okay. I hope people will do that.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And tell me, what can you say to inspire maybe an attorney like you who is also working, getting money from what he's doing or what she's doing, but now surrounded by disadvantaged communities like the ones like you are helping? What can you say to inspire that person to go out there and help?
It's wanting to make a difference in someone's life, I believe, is something that a person needs to have already inside of them. But what I can say is taking into mind that, it's one thing to help someone on the ground, whether it's legally or other projects, health, HIV and AIDS, research, whatever project it is. It's one thing to help a person on the ground, but it's another totally different thing to actually have finance for you yourself, the person helping people to sustain your life. So most people are always caught between that. I want to help, but I also have to work for my family. I have to work for my bills. So what I can say to inspire other people, attorneys and other professionals alike, is to say, look for projects or look for people who are already doing projects on the ground. So even if you can't go to the community and actually provide legal information, with the case of Lady Liberty, for example, see what else you can do to support that project. So projects need resource, they need people, they need money, they need advertising, marketing. There's a lot that people can put together within their networks, within their skill sets. So my word, to encourage other professionals would be, see what you can do in an already existing project that you're passionate about. So if you're passionate about women, and if domestic violence, rape and femicide and all those things really affect you, see how you can support, for example, Lady Liberty. You don't have to come to the ground with us. If you can't, you're more than welcome. But if you can't, then see, maybe can I provide financial assistance, or can I share this with my networks and see what they can provide, whether it's marketing or, other skills that we need to make sure that the project works.
Yeah, and you also have like enjoying the liberty and the joys of helping other
Yes, yes.
like upcoming lawyers through your organization. Tell us about that. Has that maybe changed the way the number of people you are helping so far?
Yeah, that's actually so we're coming next. I think next roadshow will be in Soweto, and it will actually be the first roadshow where it's taken a lot of months to actually get lawyers on the project, because there's lots of paperwork. You speak to, let's say, for example, the Pro-Bono director. They also have to consult within the firm. It's been a very stringent process. So now this will be the first time that we actually go to a community, and it's more than one attorney, i.e. it's not just Samantha, so I can also sit back, let someone else handle, let's say, the presentation for the day, summarize issues, domestic violence, rape, and all the things, to focus on wills and estates and that sort of thing. And then after that presentation, what we'll then be able to do is actually sit and then take on cases. So that for me is very exciting. I'm very eager to see how that will go, and it will be the first time I actually have a team of legal skill actually supporting me. And what we're also trying to do is get students. So most students across the universities, if they're law students, and I think social sciences, but I stand to be corrected with the social sciences, they can't graduate unless they put together a certain amount of community hours into the community. So I'm trying to say to them, as law students, give me your hours on the project so I can travel with you. You can help, with mundane tasks, the paperwork, helping the ladies fill in forms, even court documents, just showing them things that we take for granted. Someone else would struggle to fill in, in the court environment, because it can be very intimidating. So I'm still in the process of gathering my troops, but definitely the team has grown, and I'm very excited to see where that's going.
And have you had any feedback, like positive feedback from the women that you've
I have. I sometimes get phone calls or emails or like SMSs. There's the one particular lady that sticks out in my mind. She was distressed when I spoke to her, so she called me. I actually don't remember how she got my number, and she actually had a court date. It was a divorce matter, and it's sort of the typical story that we hear. Husband was wealthy, he had a powerful team of attorneys threatening her and all these things. They're going to take the children away from her, and she couldn't afford legal services for herself, and therefore automatically felt intimidated that she's going to lose the house, she's going to lose the car, she's going to lose the children and everything. But just from the information that we take around to these women, she was able to understand, first of all, what her rights were and also what her responsibilities are. I'm very big on empowering women to not sit and expect, like, oh, my right to this and my right to that. You too have responsibilities, even according to the law. So after I spoke to her and actually told her, this is what you can do, this is what you can fight for, but also be aware that this is what you have to do in turn. She went to court without legal representation, and she was able to fight for herself. She got equal joint custody for the children, although it's not called custody anymore, but anyway, joint custody for the children. She kept the house, and I think they were going to sell, and share the other assets equally. So she just phoned, and she was very tearful and just said, if I hadn't called, I was just going to sit there and just be a spectator in the whole divorce process, which is what happens. So she was able to stand up and say, actually, I know the law says this is what I expect from the process, this is what I'll put in. So stories like that encourage me, because this journey is really tough. Some days I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Let me just sort out my CV, go get a job, and just forget this. We tried, it's been great. But when you hear a story like that, where we've actually changed a life, and she gets to be with her children, and she phones you and she's grateful, that just makes it all worthwhile.
And someone who might be watching the interview might also want to get access to your details. I've noticed you also have an app. Can you share the details?
Yeah, sure. So currently what we're trying to do in order to use technology to enhance our services is that we have a website, which is csiboutique.com. So people can reach me there either through the contact form, or you can actually get my number, which is on the website, or my email address, and send an email directly. And we also have a Facebook page, that's Lady Liberty. So you can just search on Facebook, you'll find it. And that page just basically provides information about, the cases or any latest updates with regards to the law and policies and that sort of thing. But it also gives dates. So for example, you'll know when we're going to Soweto, you'll know when next we'll be in Alexandra, and you can track us in that way, and you can communicate with us directly from that page. The app is what we're currently trying to raise funding for. So if, for example, we get funding from this competition with UN Women, that's the priority, designing a web-based application, as well as USSD functionality, so that as long as a woman has a phone which has internet, which most women do, everyone's on WhatsApp, everyone's on Facebook, you can still access our information using the app. So that's still yet to be developed.
Okay, and what have you received from the government? Have you had any response from the government? Because a lot of attorneys work through government, but you've decided to work on your own.
Yeah, the things I haven't decided to work on my own. What I decided to do is just get up, even if I was on my own.
Yes.
But my ultimate journey isn't. I don't intend to continue this journey alone. So it's just been a process of forming those relationships. Government, I actually have had a bit of a breakthrough. I'm just smiling because I'm not sure how much detail I can get. We're still in the process of sort of doing paperwork and forming relationships. But the Progressive Women's Movement of South Africa is quite keen to get involved. They were formed under the ANC, but what they're trying to do is rope in women from all other parties, because they're saying women's issues aren't necessarily political.
Yes.
So how can we, with our strengths, our resources, our minds, and our professionals, come together to actually make a difference, in women's lives across South Africa, regardless of what party they support. So I'm in the process of developing that relationship with them, and they want to see how best to support Lady Liberty. So it's exciting. It's the first breakthrough, because then they also then have access to the ministers. They'll have access to the relevant departments that can assist us. So that's another breakthrough that we're tying the loose ends for.
Thank you very much, Samantha, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
That was founder of Lady Liberty and attorney Samantha Ngcolomba speaking to Creamer Media's Polity about her organization.